So now let's talk about some of the mistakes that we see when people try to, or organizations try to organize and or disseminate a nurture marketing campaign. Some of the common mistakes that we see out there and how to avoid those mistakes. So fire away, guys. What are one of the most common ones we see?
Well, first that comes to mind for me is frequency.
How many times do you drip on?
Exactly, yeah. If you're not touching them on a regular basis, nurturing to them on a regular basis, they won't be conditioned to open your emails or look at your postcard or answer your phone calls. And on the other side of that, I can tell you from personal experience that if you get bombarded with emails, you will not enjoy the nurture process. So I just actually over Christmas purchased an item from a company called FinishLine.com. They are a clothing retailer, right? And they have, as soon as I bought something, then they put me on a nurture campaign. And I expect that to happen when I buy something on the internet. But
yeah,
FinishLine.com sent me, I believe if I remember correctly, they sent me 91 emails in 26 days.
No way.
They conditioned me to block them, to unsubscribe from their list. 91 in 26 days before I said that's enough. This is ridiculous.
I'm surprised it took you 91.
What's that?
It took you 91. That's a lot.
Well, the first part of the conditioning is, oh, it's from this company. I'm not even going to look at it. And then the second part of the conditioning is, I'm really tired of them filling out my inbox, so I need to unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So
wow.
So the break actually happened long before I unsubscribed. I started ignoring them, and it's important to note. So I think that's the number one failure. Another thing that we see that can cause problems, and Drew can speak to this a little better maybe because of his tech background, but sometimes people want to send a really flashy email and they throw images in there or a video or something, and you have to understand, number one, you don't know where these people on your list are looking at it. They might be looking at it on a smartphone. They might be looking at it in a browser that doesn't support HTML or graphics, so you might be sending them simply a broken image with a little bit of text.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely something that we see a lot where you want to get flashy and you send a heavy graphics-based email and someone looks at it on their smartphone and it doesn't pull in any of the graphics and the email appears to have no content because there's no actual text for them to read. And it appears, as a bulk email. We talked about this before. You want to appear less like a bulk email and more like a personal nurture communication between personally from you to to that user. And that's where some companies, as they get larger and larger, if you're a small business, it's easier to have one person as like, this is the face of the company, and this one person is sending emails out. But as you get larger and larger, it's more and more difficult to appear, to give that one-on-one connection. Companies tend to, obviously once you get into the Amazon size, then that this company is sending you an email. But even if you're a company size of maybe 50 or 100 people, you can still ensure through your CRM that specific rep is the one where the email comes from. So it's not like the company sending the email, but the rep is sending the email.
Right. So yeah, elaborate on that a little bit more. How important is it, even from a nurture standpoint, is it to have the company versus the person sending the email?
Well, 99% of the emails that you open and read come from someone that a single person. Your friends, your family, your coworkers, specific people. So we've gotten the best results from our nurture email when we have a single person, is in the
Right.
from line. You know, it's from you to this other person, not from the company. And then the language in the email, you know, needs to be singular, like I am sending you this email as opposed to we are sending you this email. You know, I think that's important to just foster that one-on-one type relationship. But you know, the question, you know, besides just the frequency and the style of email, I think an important thing to keep in mind is the content of the email. You know, even if I'm not emailing you very often to the point where it's annoying, like, you know, Finish Line, the company you mentioned, but if the content of my email is continually saying, you know, the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to get conditioned to ignore it. You're going to see the email and say, I know what that email is about, so you ignore it. So it's important to, you know, as we talk about it, have sales and non-sales emails that, or text message or social or, you know, whatever medium you're using, to have both of those pieces be in your nurture marketing. You can't just keep hitting them over the head with buy my product. You have to nurture that relationship.
Yeah, yeah. That's how important is personalization. I mean, we hear it all the time. Hey, you should address them specifically. Personalization doesn't matter. So that doesn't matter if it was a bulk email. What do you think?
It's critical, I think, but it's more than just the message. Sometimes you can give the appearance of personalization by varying how you nurture. If you send
True.
2 emails a month for an entire year, generally speaking, that may start to look impersonal. If they know they're always going to get an email from you on every other Monday or the second day of the month or the 15th of the month or whatever. But if your nurture campaign includes multiple different ways to touch them, then sometimes that creates a more personal appearance.
Sure.
And Drew talked a little bit about sales and then also the personal side. Just as an example, maybe you mentioned a new service or something that's happened with your business in an email, and the next time you email them, you're telling them, have a great 4th of July. That's a great way to vary it. But you could also vary it up and just say, and give them a phone call and say, hey, just wanted to check in with you, see how you're doing, see how your job is, see how your family is, if you know them to that personal level. But varying the way you nurture them can also create an appearance of a more personal touching, as we say.
So in other words, all nurture marketing campaigns aren't created equal for all people, huh?
Correct.
All right. Okay, that's good. Very good. That's a very good point, because a lot of times we do think about, hey, someone's gonna put in a name in there, but also personalization goes into type of email that they will get, or communication piece that they'll get. One other thing I want to add to that is, and Andrew spoke on it a bit, but I'll elaborate again, is that making sure that the content it has some value to it. A lot of times we see emails and or other marketing pieces that come out. I get them all across my email every single day. And you know, they have like no value to what they're talking about. It could be something that's totally off. Rock, and that's okay to be funny sometimes, put something out there. Like the one time we did the nurture marketing campaign with the wigs and stuff like that, right? So we have fun like that. But those get attention, right? And we were showcasing a piece of our CRM, so it did have information that made inquiries from our client base. But if you're disseminating information that actually has no value, then you want to make sure you pull the plug on that and add something with some meat to it, some sustenance, so that they can get fat off the information you're trying to feed them. So that being said, hey, this is Grandison Shine, Chief Marketing Officer here at Direct to Business Marketing. I have a slight change up for you regarding what we're discussing at the end of our videos. I'm going to change it up to the annual Nurture Marketing Campaign. I want to give you some information on that and tell you how to get it. You should have one of these operating within your business as a Nurture Marketing Campaign, along with some other ones. But let's talk about the annual Nurture Marketing Campaign. Go download it right now at directbusinessmarketing.com/nurture. Again, at directbusinessmarketing.com/nurture.